Welcome to Uncanny X-Minutes, where we bring you the comics behind the movies. I'm producer James.
I'm Stasia.
And our special guest today...
Hey, I'm Brian. I'm back.
Hey, welcome back.
Thank
for
you.
X-Men 2, X2,
Yeah,
X-Men United.
there it is.
There it is. We watched minutes 120 to 130.
Oh, really scraping the end of this movie.
We're bumped up right to the end of it. What happens in these minutes, Stasia?
So in these minutes, the X-Men have an involuntary sit down with the president. The Phoenix is briefly teased and we get credits.
Yeah, not a lot happens.
No.
Not a lot happens. So yeah, the president, it wasn't up to him.
Yeah,
He's like, we're having to sit down.
Yeah, the president part is pretty funny. The like dark room, the lightning, the ridiculousness of it.
I do love he very professionally is still in his position going, did we lose the feed?
Yeah.
Is that...
Everybody's
are we
frozen.
off? Yeah, nobody's
Yeah.
talking.
It's pretty funny. So what I wanted to start today off, thank you, Brian, for joining us. You get to listen to my rant.
Welcome to Stasia's Rant Corner.
Stasia's Rant Corner, because we were talking about this episode and James asked a very innocent question, which is like, hey, Stas, do you know any experiences the X-Men have, like working with the government?
Well, because I've been reading Stan Lee.
Yeah.
And the first couple of issues, like the professor has a device he puts on his head that specifically only goes to like the FBI or something. Like it goes to the government.
Yeah.
And then not too far later, everyone hates the X-Men. So like,
Yeah, once
there
we get to
had to
Claremont.
be more. No, even in the Lee one, they're starting. It's when Beast leaves.
Yeah.
It's the Eunice the Untouchable issue where
see.
he's just like, yeah, everybody hates me because I'm a mutant. So I'm going.
Okay,
I'm going to go be a professional wrestler.
that's fair. I respect that.
So what's it happen after that?
After this, so you asked a very innocent question,
Yeah.
and I said, "Oh, let me tell you about that snake, Valerie Cooper." So,
Heard the name, sure.
yeah, if you've read any X-Men comics, you've probably come across Valerie Cooper. She appears as early. This is not her first appearance, but I know for a fact she appears in the original X Factor #9. So
Okay.
this is the original X Factor. So we're talking about Cyclops.
We're talking about the original 5.
Yes.
Not in the X-Men, but as
right.
both X Factor. What was the other one they were? They were two different...
Yeah. What was the other
teams?
team? I can't. They're X Factor. They're posing as a mutant agency that's capturing mutants, but they're actually
Wasn't Freedom
saving
Force,
them.
right? Because that's
No.
Mystique.
Yeah, so Freedom Force is the X Factor equivalent that comes later, which we will be talking about very shortly, because Valerie Cooper, no surprise to anybody who knows about that snake, is that she is also involved with Freedom Force. So she appears that early. Who Valerie Cooper is? She is a psychologist, Dr. Snake Valerie Cooper. And
Is Snake on her business card?
I'd put it there. And she works for the U.S. government specifically. It gets vague. Sometimes she works for S.H.I.E.L.D. Sometimes she works for the Secret Empire. I will admit, she didn't know that it was the Secret Empire. They're a villainous organization that is like, whatever. But
Yeah.
she's technically working for them, whatever. She also is the person who created the experimental procedure that created Spider-Woman.
Okay, Jessica Drew?
Yeah.
Oh.
Julia Carpenter.
Oh, a different Spider
Too many Spider-Men.
There's too many Spider-Women.
That's true.
Okay, if you've seen Madam Web,
No.
okay,
God.
so there's 3 Spider-Women that are there. Like,
Yeah.
3 women that will have spider powers. And they are in costume. And as I'm watching, I'm like, wow, they look familiar. I think by the name of one, I know Ranya is one of them. And that's all I knew. I was like, oh, I don't quite know the other 2. I've heard the names sound familiar, but I couldn't remember what their superhero code name is. And I looked it up, and they were both Spider-Woman. But neither one was Jessica Drew. So there's at least 3 Spider-Women.
At least.
Jeez.
So many. Okay, so let's talk about Valerie Cooper. So Valerie Cooper is the liaison between the government and super powered mutants, and that was her role for a really long time. She is kind of like, she becomes that representative in the X-Men comics where it's like whenever they need to work with the government, like secretly, usually under the table, Valerie Cooper is their liaison. She's usually running these teams, sometimes secretly, sometimes not. So if you were interested in that kind of weird tension between like the president and the X-Men and like the weird threats and posturing, look up any Valerie Cooper book.
Just
like,
find her a book.
Anytime she's in a book,
Yeah.
that's where you're gonna find her. Valerie Cooper is a nightmare. She is
She is a nightmare incarnate.
she is, because like, okay, so I'm gonna list a couple of, so
and Marvel has a character named Nightmare too,
Yeah,
so it's
I
even
know.
more fun.
like, so she is the original. She employs Mystique and the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants to be Freedom Force. So Freedom Force is kind of like the equivalent to X Factor, where it's like, oh, this is like when we should like we need our own set of mutants to kind of execute the will of the U.S. government.
Oh, like a Thunderbolts type of thing.
By the way, she is the person that recruited John Walker.
Oh, cool.
So let me
Listen,
see.
I'm the Captain America defender, but I'm not that Captain America defender.
So this is what I'm saying. Anything that's gone bad, let me tell you, Valerie Cooper is probably involved. Okay.
Is that a U.S. agent?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes. And his partner, who is Battlestar. I don't know who that is, but
he's
yeah.
just a guy. He's
Okay.
basically a fake Bucky for the fake Captain America.
She is the one that pays Forge, hires him on to try to have the government find ways to track mutants. That was under
Yikes.
Valerie Cooper. She is the one that employs the later X Factor, which is under the kind of the guidance of Havoc. And while he's with his pregnant girlfriend Siren, she has him lie to her and all of the other mutants, and like is like secretly working with Havoc under the table. And then when Siren is literally going into labor, that's when she thought it was like really important to pop up and let them know so she can secret them away to safety. Valerie Cooper is a snake, but I will say she is a complicated character. It is my opinion that she is a snake. The
Yeah.
books take different perspectives on
Is
her.
it like a Nick Fury style, like political espionage? You don't know what side she's on type of thing?
You know what side she's on, which is the U.S. government.
Okay.
Which that is where it gets tricky, because that's kind of where the U.S. government is. She is really their representative. The president isn't really a representative. Valerie Cooper is.
And it would be different if it were like Nick Fury is part of S.H.I.E.L.D. S.H.I.E.L.D. is part of the government, sort of. And his relationship with the Avengers is fine because the Avengers work with the government all the time.
Right.
Like, that is how they work. Where it's tough with the X-Men, if she's the equivalent for the
Yes.
X-Men are like, we don't trust the government because the government ain't done nothing for us.
Yes. There's a lot of fighting. Like, I mean, it's complicated. And also, like, there is a power struggle. I think particularly in the X Factor run with Havoc and, like, Valerie Cooper, like, working together. In that one, there's, like, a power struggle between Havoc, who is a mutant running this team of mutants, and Valerie Cooper, who is a human who majored in mutant psychology, and she wants to run the team. Listen to what I'm saying, okay? Are we all on the same page here? Like, so I don't like her, but I think she's a fascinating character.
Yeah.
I think it's really interesting to have a character that is like representative of government. She shifts around a lot. Like, she is not definitively evil, but she behaves in ways that are evil. For example, one of her core beliefs, at least early on, I don't know if they've redeemed her lately. I wouldn't know, but whatever.
I don't know.
Like,
She hasn't shown up I don't think, a bunch lately.
yeah, I don't know. Maybe she's dead. Who knows? But like,
I didn't follow her ending then.
yeah, me either. But like, she basically takes the stance that the United States is in a mutant arm race with the rest of the world, which is why they need to collect mutants to like serve their interests.
No.
Yeah.
No,
Because
Yeah.
mutants are
no.
like Pokemon.
Right, as objects, right? Like, this is concerning. My point is, if Valerie Cooper has one hater, it's me. If Valerie Cooper has no haters, I'm dead. Like, that is. But I do find her, like, fascinating as this, like, person that is, like, not somebody you can punch.
Yeah.
She is a villain that is a human person. She can use firearms and like has a little bit of like martial arts, and that's it.
But-
like, she's not like rough and tumble.
It's tough though if your villain is just being a snake.
Right.
You know, you just she's a human.
Right.
But she's not particularly like if she's not outwardly attacking you, you can't outwardly attack her.
That's the issue. And also, she is literally a representative of the government.
Right.
So it also makes it complicated when you're already having struggles with the government as a mutant.
Yeah.
I think if you found that scene to be compelling in any way, look at Valerie Cooper, pull up books that she's in, find one that tickles your fancy. Because I'm going to tell you, in all of them, it's kind of the same. So whatever art looks good.
Right.
Like in some, I think in the one with Havoc and that team in Siren, she's kind of a good guy-ish for longer, or she has the facade of a good guy longer before it turns. Because I think it's at the end of that run where things hit the fan. But
Sure.
I think generally, though, you'll find that in a little bit everywhere. So I also really like her when she's running Freedom Force, because she's a jerk to Mystique and the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, but they're also kind of jerks back because they're the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants operating as Freedom Force.
Yeah.
So like that's also
Mystique
kind of
ain't gonna
funny.
take that either, though.
Right. They're both catty at each other, and that's funny. But like, they're both fighting, and it's like, yeah, great. I'm not going to lose whoever wins this fight. So.
Right.
But yeah, that is my soapbox for today that I needed to talk about.
I mean, it's what came to mind for me. It isn't usually the government, but more Shield. Like there's been Shield liaisons here and there, and sometimes they stab the X-Men in the back, and sometimes they don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even mutants have been like, was it Dazzler was for a while?
Dazzler was operating with Shield for a while. I mean, you've also got Abby O'Brand.
Yeah.
Like, there's a couple of people.
You can trust her half the time.
That's generous. That is very generous of you. I kind of shied away from Shield because to me in the movie it's the president. It's like really like the direct arm. I know Shield is like, but then you get Shield. Sometimes Shield gets taken over, and then it's not really the government. It gets fuzzy.
It's sometimes it's like secret part of the government, and sometimes it's outwardly public and just not part of the government, but it's sort of run in the United States.
And then sometimes it's run by Norman Osborn.
Oh yeah, no, it can totally get
Sometimes
run by.
it's run by Hydra.
Yeah, like this. Yeah, so like I was like, that can sometimes be more explicitly villainous in Shield.
I think some writers like to use Shield better than the U.S. government.
Yeah, but I will say if you're asking the question,
and I did. It's Valerie Cooper.
Valerie Cooper.
Okay.
And let me tell you, it's something else.
For this 10 minutes, like it ends, the actual movie part ends with a little flash of the Phoenix.
Yes.
Just a little bit. Like in the sacrifice scene, you see Jean getting all flamed. And then the wave comes and nothing happens. But then at the end, you see this little big outline of a bird in the water. So like all the nerds in there like freaking out because this is what they've been waiting for, and we'll get it next movie.
And everybody like me who didn't read comics when that movie came out, I was like, am I supposed to get something from that? Or
wait, did you really not know what that meant?
Not at the time.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Completely. I didn't even know that was a thing that was possible if you read comic books.
I mean, it's tough. I met my wife at that movie. I doubt she knew about the Phoenix.
I have a very skewed understanding of what most people know about the X-Men, I'm realizing.
I mean, I was also a child when this, I wasn't that.
You weren't a child.
It was 2003.
I was not reading comics then.
In 7th grade? I feel like this is peak comic reading time. Junior high?
My loss, I guess.
I guess.
Well, you're here now, and that's all that matters.
Yep.
So I was curious. I was like, oh, let me look up like Phoenix hosts that aren't Jean. Like this might be a fun time to look at.
Yeah.
And then I went down a rabbit hole.
Oh, man.
Because first off, there's a bunch of like, well, this one's a what if. This one's in a future timeline. This one's in another future timeline. This one came back from future timeline to our timeline and then went away. And I was just like, no, that's all too messy. So I was like, let me find a list. I'm gonna start looking myself. Mm-hmm. And I got to the first human who had ever been a host of the Phoenix Force. Okay. First one that popped up on my list. Her name is Firehair.
I have never heard of this person.
She has red hair. Because of course she is. She's a host of the Phoenix.
Do they all have red hair?
They don't all have red hair, but a lot of them do.
I mean, Quentin Quire has pink hair.
We're not counting
enough?
Quentin. But you got
I
Hope.
guess future timeline.
You've got Jean Grey. You've got Rachel Summers.
Yeah.
You've got Firehair.
Well, a lot of them are Summers or adopted Summers kids. Like,
well,
so
but
yeah.
Hope has no reason to have red. I mean, like she didn't have to have red hair.
I mean, she didn't have to, but they were gonna.
I mean, they're gonna. We don't have enough redheads in the Marvel universe. We might as well put another one in it.
Summers? No, we need another.
We need another for sure. So she is a cave woman from 1 million BC.
That's not tracking. As the archaeologist in the room, that doesn't track.
So,
but go on. Okay, I have to tell myself this is the Marvel Universe.
So Jason
Savage Land
Aaron
exists.
right? Jason Aaron, his Avengers run from 2008, I think 18 it started.
Something like that.
Something like that. He wrote in a prehistoric Avengers
Okay.
that has Odin, young Odin,
Oh.
a caveman Ghost Rider just called Rider,
Okay.
the Phoenix, Starbrand, which is
That sounds
basically
familiar.
yeah, the Starbrand is a thing that I don't want to get into because it's very Avengers.
Fair enough.
But he's basically the Hulk.
Okay.
They also have Agamotto, as in the Eye of Agamotto, so the Sorcerer
the
Supreme,
Sorcerer Supreme.
and an Iron Fist who is a lady that I forget her name.
Okay. Interesting. That actually sounds kind of cool. I'm not gonna lie.
A lot of it is this time is cyclical and these things always happen type of plot line.
Interesting. Okay.
So they don't spend a ton of time with them. They kind of go in and out, but what ends up happening, they are introduced by taking out a diseased celestial that comes to Earth.
Okay.
And then having to deal with the Celestials who come after him to be like, what'd you do?
Oh.
You killed our Celestial.
Is this the Celestial that becomes Avengers Tower?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think the diseased one does. Yeah. And AXE, you know how they're housed in a Celestial for some
Okay.
reason? It's
Because
that
the Avengers, usually they have a mansion. Sometimes they have a tower in New York City. Sometimes they live in a hollowed out dead Celestial.
Got it.
Just normal comic book things.
X-Men had an asteroid in the San Francisco Bay.
That's true.
Or a school in limbo.
That's true. That's
So
sick.
I mean, we've all done things.
Yeah.
So anyway, fast forward, yada 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 yada. They kind of tease her every once in a while, they tease this going to the past and talking about them and then stuff that's happening currently. But it all culminates in a storyline called Enter the Phoenix.
Okay.
Okay, I had never heard of this before. It
Me
was
either.
in what did we look it up? 2020.
Yeah, 2020.
So Krakoan era. I'm so busy reading Krakoan stuff,
okay.
I didn't know that this was going on.
Definitely. No chance. None.
I think I knew it happened because you know how USA Today always spoils those big comic book events. So
Sure.
it's you just open up the newspaper. It's Captain America dies. And you're like, excuse me, that issue doesn't come out till tomorrow. Thank you very much. This had one of those type of moments where it's the new Phoenix is ...
Yeah. So what ends up, it's the Phoenix comes to Earth and doesn't mess with the X-Men.
Huh.
But it's looking for a new host.
They were the
And
Phoenix was just listen, they're so messy. Can't get over there.
It didn't explicitly exclude X-Men.
No.
But it was a Phoenix story where everybody was involved. So
Right.
Black Panther and Namor and
I've got a screenshot of all of the contestants they use. But before that, was it trying to get Moon Knight? Was
a whole
the storyline
thing
right before it?
There's a whole thing with Moon Knight and Mephisto and whatever Moon Knight's god is, Khonshu,
Yeah.
and a whole mess of things happened where
So issue 1 of Enter the Phoenix.
Is that Devil Dinosaur?
You have these are your contestants. They all get sucked into the white hot room.
Oh.
Which, for those that don't
Spicy.
know, is basically where Phoenix people go.
Yeah.
It's a dimension that the Phoenix controls.
Mm-hmm.
I can try to name most of these people. There's a couple that I don't know, but Moon Girl,
there's
Devil
only-
Dinosaur, Hyperion's there.
Howard the Duck's there.
Howard the Duck is here.
You've got Jane Foster as a Valkyrie.
Yes. The eyeball is
what's that guy
a
do?
Watcher's eyeball.
Right, but
that
he's
is some sort of humanoid
Isn't he?
form.
He's like a Z-list villain originally.
I think so.
Because I think I read a story where he got taken out or something in Daughters of the Dragon. But anyway,
Yeah, Shang-Chi, Captain America,
Man Thing,
Wolverine?
Wolverine shows
Wolverine's
up.
there. Black Knight or whatever his name
Yeah,
is.
it's
Luke
Black Knight.
Cage, Red Widow,
Red Widow.
who I'd never heard of before.
I hadn't
this.
heard of her either.
Is that Dawkins?
No.
No. Okay.
Which one? Front.
Front
Oh,
left?
that's some Native American guy
Yeah,
that I don't know.
American Dream,
Something like
something
that.
like that. It doesn't matter because what ends up happening is they get whittled down for a while.
In the Grand Marvel tradition, it's like a tournament thing
Oh,
where
yeah, sure.
the Phoenix
Okay.
Force is you two fight, and then the winner moves on in the tournament, basically.
So when I was looking up hosts of the Phoenix Force, one thing I got, which we have talked about before, is the AVX Phoenix 5.
Yes. Yeah.
Which, yes and no. because they all got a part of the Phoenix Force, but no one person besides Cyclops was a host to the full Phoenix Force.
Yeah, Cyclops technically collected them all.
Right. And then you think he did again later, too.
I think so.
Yeah.
This is the same deal.
Where these guys were popping up in my list. But it was all like, because the one was like, oh, Captain America has been a host of the Phoenix Force. Not a what if, not an alternate timeline, like 616 Captain America. And then I read this, I was like, kind of.
Yeah. And he fights Phoenixified Doctor Doom for a bit, and then,
So Namor claims that he summoned it, the Phoenix Force. Or was it? Yeah, it was Namor that summoned
Namor shows up and he's like, I'm going to go marry the Phoenix. And everybody's like, please don't.
Okay.
We're going to have a party.
All right. That sounds very Namor.
Basically, Namor's like, I can scorch the entire earth, and you know what's going to be left over? The water.
Yeah, that's fair.
And it's like, okay.
That tracks.
And then you've got Black Panther, who's like, I can control this for the betterment of mankind. I don't really want it, but like, I think I could do it.
It's better than Namor.
Right. You got Captain America as one of the finalists that is also like, I don't want it, but I don't want any of you to have it.
Yes.
Also fair. Well, Moon Girl Devil Dinosaur, I think, would have really been the best bet.
It's funny, Moon Girl wasn't in it.
Oh, okay.
But Devil Dinosaur was. So you've got Shanna the She-Devil.
Okay.
And her, it was Zabu was with her. And they're fighting Devil Dinosaur at one point, but they're all Phoenixified.
I got to read this because Devil Dinosaur Phoenixified sounds hilarious. I'm not going to lie to you.
But a lot of it is like the Phoenix making decisions almost on who wins. So like Shang-Chi is about to like punch Captain America, but like in his heart of hearts, he's like, I'm better than my father. I'm not going to kill this man for personal gain, basically. And the Phoenix Force is like, oh, cool, you're not worthy. And he just like is eliminated from the tournament.
Oh.
Was it Shang-Chi or was it Iron Fist?
I thought it was Shang-Chi.
I want to look that up.
Iron Fist was not in the tournament. Iron Fist was outside. Luke Cage was in.
Oh, you're right. Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah. Well, the best part is that Captain America is like training him too. He's like, I know you can do it. I know you can handle it.
Yeah.
You know, it's him trying to like coach him into being able to use it. But
he's like doing the Captain America thing of like weathering every punch. And he's like, punch me with the full strength of the Phoenix in the face, and then like, it's cool.
Yeah. The whole thing starts off with a Phoenix Captain America fighting a Phoenix Doctor Doom.
Okay.
And Doctor Doom relents, actually. Mm-hmm. He doesn't lose. He knows that the Phoenix isn't going to pick him.
Obviously.
Yeah. So he's just like, I quit.
Yeah,
he's like, I'm wasting time. I've got other places to be.
Yeah. And then like Namor's fighting Echo and basically like takes out Echo like the bottom at the bottom of the ocean.
Oh, wow.
So it's just like, well,
so when these people are defeated, they get spit out back into the Antarctic. Echo doesn't.
Oh no, did he kill her?
No, I think they were getting spit out where they...
Or was it where they were fighting?
Where they were fighting.
Okay. So she's like...
So basically the Phoenix Force is taken away from them and they're left where they lie.
They're not fighting in the White Hot Room. Oh. They're getting spit into the earth at different locations.
Very, the most Marvel locations, right? So there's one on the blue area of the moon. There's one like outside of Atlantis. There's one in New York Harbor, right? Like,
one's in Moscow.
One's on top of that celestial Avengers Tower.
Yeah, they're all over the place.
You guys, I'm going to have to find out if Echo died. This is like really vital.
We'll get there.
We're getting places. So it does it winds down to like, you've got, it's Savage She-Hulk.
Okay.
Not like thin green. It's like, actually looks like a Hulk She-Hulk.
Cool.
With
She's
like
been
intelligence of a Hulk type of thing.
She's been degrading and mental capacity for a while, it seems like.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that either until I was reading a different thing for this show, I think it was. Anyway.
Crazy.
But so they kind of get whittled down, but at the same time you got Moon Girl and Tony Stark and Thor and a bunch of other people trying to like figure out the Phoenix problem because the Phoenix is still right there. Mm-hmm. Part of what ends up happening is Thor is starting to feel a connection to the Phoenix Force, something very familiar. He can't quite...
Familiar and familial.
So backtrack to 1,000,000 BC, Odin and the Phoenix...
Oh my God.
...got a little more familiar with each other.
Oh my God.
And Firehair shows up like in front of Thor while this battle is going on. Like she's still part of the Phoenix like cosmic force. And she's like, oh, yeah, by the way, I'm your mother.
What?
Yeah, he's like, I thought it was Mother Gaia.
Yeah.
Was my mother. And they're like, yep, that's the lie we needed to tell you so that you'd protect Earth. I'm your mother. Oh!
Okay.
That was when I was doing the research was like, say what now? I have to find this. I can't just let this go.
Yeah.
It's in Enter the Phoenix that they say it.
Okay.
So
crazy.
Yeah, right? So we've retconned
Thor's mom is
Thor.
the Phoenix Force.
What? That's insane.
This is what happens when you take our toys and you put them in somewhere else.
This is so interesting. It's so interesting that the Phoenix Force is mixing with the Avengers and other stuff so hard right
So
now.
hard.
It's like the Krakoan era really put the X-Men back on the top of Marvel again. Like really did. Because like it's like, oh wait, we're all just X-Men now.
And it's like, hey, y'all remember AVX? That was fun when we made everyone the Phoenix?
Yeah.
That was fun, right? What if we do that in like 5 issues and we make 17 people the Phoenix?
And they reference AVX in this as
Yeah,
well. Like
yeah.
like Wolverine and Captain America are standing off, and Cap's like, last time the Phoenix came to Earth, you were on our side. Like, where do you stand now?
And Namor's like, I've already had this before.
Yeah.
I can do it again.
Okay, that makes sense because of AVX. Namor was one of so I
he's
see
one of the
why he
5.
would want the power back. Yeah, he would be still bitter about it.
Right.
That tracks. I'm gonna have to read this.
Oh, one of the old Avengers that I forgot is a Black Panther.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
The original I think it's supposed to be the original Black Panther. So he's just like wearing a Black Panther pelt, and he's got like vibranium claws.
Oh, that's cool.
And there's a small like line in there that I didn't think about, but I kind of appreciated, where the current day T'Challa is talking about how like the Phoenix Force and the Black Panther are like basically two of the longest lasting like cosmic powers in the Marvel universe together.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. That's like you would think. I kind of wonder if they've done. I would read a comic book about like these celestial powers doing their own stuff together. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm gonna see what that
Road trip movie
conversation
between the Phoenix and
Yeah.
Black Panther.
Let's get weird, Marvel. Okay.
Well, so this battle, like we're starting to narrow it down to like 4 people left.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden in the middle of one of the battles, I think it's Namor, doesn't really matter. Someone's fighting, and all of a sudden the Phoenix Force starts like leeching off of them, like in little birds. And
Something starts coming out of the water.
yeah, that says, you know what the Phoenix doesn't need? Power. It has all the power it needs. It's not looking for someone who has power
The
to
Phoenix
add
Force
to.
is power.
So what it does need is someone, it needs like emotion. It needs someone who's willing to sacrifice. Somebody that's willing to die and be reborn. And Echo comes out of the ocean. And she starts sucking the Phoenix Force out of everybody else. And the book ends with Echo is now the Phoenix. How me and you did not know that?
That's crazy.
How does that not come up in Krakoa?
We have completely. This is how isolated X-Men really is. This is when we were joking. We're like, there's 2 universes. There's the Marvel regular universe, and there's the X-Men Marvel universe. I didn't even know that.
I know. That's why when I was like, oh, I'll look up a little bit about fire hair, and I found myself down a rabbit hole that I could not get out of, and I couldn't go look at anyone else. I didn't even care anymore. I had to be like, what is going on here?
I'm so glad you did that, because if you had asked me to look up, to be like, oh, name all the people who's had the Phoenix Force, I don't know if I would have looked it up that way. Maybe I would have seen if there was anybody esoteric, but I had a list. I would just start pulling people that I know.
Well, that's the thing. You would skip the like, oh, lesser known, whatever,
Right.
you know, maybe this, because fire hair could have totally just been a one-off, nobody off to the side
That's
in a random, like a
fascinating.
1 million BC Avengers, and that's all it was.
Right.
I came into it from the other way, though, because I knew Echo was the Phoenix, and I didn't know how we got there.
I think you even told me, you're like, oh, is that the one where Echoes turns to the Phoenix? And I hadn't read it yet.
Oh my God.
And so I thought you just meant she was part of the fight.
No.
So it didn't get spoiled until they're like, something's coming up from the ocean. And I was like, oh, it's Echo. Okay. So you didn't really spoil it because I didn't think of it that way.
That's so great. I love that.
So there you go. First off, Phoenix is Thor's mother,
Okay. Woof.
and Echo is now the current Phoenix.
Okay. Wow.
It's so interesting for Echo, though, because Echo I've always associated with like that Daredevil cast of characters
Yes.
who's
Yeah.
like very like street
level.
New York
Yeah.
street level. And it's like, yeah, we're going to give like a street level hero a cosmic entity.
I love that.
Yeah.
I think that's so clever.
I didn't know anything about Echo. I've only seen the Marvel show. Mm-hmm. That's all I know about her.
Yeah, she's in Hawkeye, right?
Yeah. Well, no, she has her own show.
She has her own show.
Oh, I've not actually watched that yet.
She was in Hawkeye. She has her own show, and she does Daredevil does show up in that show.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I should watch that.
She's great in Daredevil.
Because
her.
she's all involved with Kingpin.
Yeah.
In the shows. So.
And for those who don't know, Echo is she's deaf, and is she also a Native American?
Yes.
Yeah.
And she also
in the comics she speaks.
She speaks, but she's deaf.
But she's deaf. But I'm saying it's interesting because in Echo the TV show, it is a good chunk in sign language.
Yeah, she doesn't speak. Yeah.
And whatever Disney app I was using did not put forced subtitles on it.
Ooh.
You actually had to turn the subtitles on.
Interesting.
I think
That
it's
is
my
really
Roku is
interesting.
what it is. But it was like I was like, wait, I shouldn't know what she's saying, right? And I had to like rewind it and put on the subtitles. It's like, oh, thank you. I did need to know what she was saying. But yeah, she doesn't speak in those shows.
Yeah, so it's just a little different in the comics.
Yeah,
But
which I have seen, because I have seen deaf characters in comics sign, and they do the speech bubble down to the hands,
oh, I like that.
which is a really cool way to do it. But I can see why they just have her.
I love
speak.
a good speech bubble trick like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I
this
like
has the one thing that one gripe I have about Enter the Phoenix is Phoenix characters have a specific speech bubble.
That's true.
When the person's not on screen and they're talking, they all had it because they all had the Phoenix voice.
Oh, sure. Yeah, that tracks.
It's like, what are you doing? Anyway, so there's your current Phoenix rundown, I guess.
Wow.
I didn't mean to go so current. I mean, that's kind of current, not really current. I mean, it's been out long enough
Yeah, definitely.
that I'm not spoiling anything for anyone who's
4 years old.
Yeah, 4 years old is old enough for me to talk
Yeah,
about.
we've been talking about Krakoa, so this seems
Yeah.
fair game. I think I'm gonna have to read this. This is
It's
actually
like 5 issues.
fascinating.
It's very short.
Yeah, I can do like little mini series like this. This is really cool. I'm really shocked that I wonder if it's like there are some Krakoa books that I didn't read, so like maybe it's in one of those.
I don't
but
think so.
like
I have never heard of this.
yeah, I've never heard of this at all, and I read most of them, not all of them, but a lot.
I've read a lot too, and I don't remember this ever happening.
Yeah.
To bring it full circle, though, as Echo's flying off with the Phoenix Force, Jean Grey sends her a little message telepathically or whatever.
What does she say?
So as she's flying off, you see it's her when she was in the Marvel Girl outfit in
Oh,
Krakoa,
sure.
and all it says is, "Maya, if you can hear me, don't try to do this alone."
Okay, interesting.
But she's like in the summer house. That's how tells you how early. And
is
in the
this-
Marvel Girl outfit,
yeah,
which
is
means
this
it's early Krakoa.
Really early Krakoa, blue side of the moon when they're still living up there. Huh. I'm gonna have to read this. Thank you guys. That's so interesting. There must be something going on with Echo because like you would think that she would be more involved in like what's going on with the fall of X and the rise of the House of X and all the stuff that's currently
the
coming out.
Phoenix. I mean, she's not a mutant though, and the Phoenix isn't inherently mutant. It just happens to like involve mutants. And that's the thing. They did make a comment that they were trying to keep telepaths out.
Okay.
They didn't want to get any telepaths involved.
Okay.
And near the Phoenix. So I mean that's why there isn't some X-Men there.
Sure. You get Wolverine, but
I mean
like
technically it's a
Presumably.
cosmic force.
yeah, I get it. I can't be so territorial with my X-Men characters and
But
cosmic entities.
but Phoenix is one. That's the problem.
That's the thing. Yeah.
So anyway, I think that about wraps this
Yeah.
up. This movie is over now.
Yeah.
We all have nothing but credits left. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you next week what we're going to do. We've been holding off so hard.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about nothing but X-Men 97 next week.
Yeah.
So that it will now be on the table for discussion. There's so many times that to bite my tongue.
Yeah.
I made myself a rule that was like, let's not talk about it. We got to give people a chance to watch it.
Yeah.
Now that is going away. We're going to talk about it next week in its entirety.
So excited.
So join us next week for the credits of X2 X-Men United. I've been James.
I'm Stasia.
And Brian.
See you for the next 4.